what is Linux RICING? So if you've ever had a laptop get wet before, if it's running Linux, you can just put it in like a bunch of rice and then it'll like dry off or something. Okay, that's probably not what it is. Linux RICING is when you take a Linux operating system and customize all of the different components so it's customized exactly to your liking. Something that you can show off to people, something that is your own. I have my very own Linux RICE that I'm very excited to show you. So come along with me and let's check it out. As my system boots up here, let's talk about some of the things you can customize in Linux. This boot menu, completely customizable. You can pick this one or some other variation. There are tons of them. You can also customize your login screen. You can get something that looks like this or some other variation. Mine is using SDDM with a custom theme. And if I log in here is my desktop environment. My desktop environment is currently running on top of Hyperland. Hyperland is an independent tiling window compositor. If I translate that to English, what that basically means is, back in the day, we used to use something called Xorg. Xorg is a display server, which is something that provides graphical components so that you can interact with the system with this graphical user interface. Wayland is an upgraded version of that, and the compositor is the thing that helps you manage Windows and have this graphical user experience. So this compositor is controlling how I open and close Windows, etc. If I hit this a few times, for instance, I'll open up a whole bunch of terminals, and I can close this all down with a custom keybind that I've also configured. You can also switch these windows around. I can switch desktops, open up more terminals here, can open up a special window here and open up my launcher here and open up a browser here. And when that spins up, I can close that window as well. And you'll notice while I'm doing all of this, that this is all being indicated above on this top bar. So Wayland has all of this functionality, and at the very top I have this indicator bar called waybar. Waybar has config file and CSS, and it can do things like interact with other processes. Hyperland, running as a process, can communicate with waybar through something called Too Much Information, IPC, or Inter-Process Communication, which just means that waybar understands what's going on inside of Hyperland when I switch desktops or open up windows, and it can display this here in this little workspace menu. You can see the CSS is kicking in here. When I hover over these buttons, they get highlighted in different ways. For instance, if I click here, you'll see my launcher gets opened up that you were presented with earlier. This launcher is called Roffy, and it is styled to my color scheme. Now that I've mentioned color scheme, one of the things that you will do when you are RICING is you'll work to a color scheme. I was previously using Tokyo Night as my color scheme. I'm currently moving over to Cappuccino Mocha because I find that more soothing. So I can click a button to open that. I can also use my own custom key binding to open my launcher as well, and then switch between these different menus here to control things. If you go all the way to the other side here, you see I have a custom indicator for battery level as well. And if I go ahead and plug in my laptop, that'll also change color when the laptop is charging. The main thing here I'm trying to illustrate is that waybar can interact with the system. It doesn't just display things, it can also understand things about the operating system. Like this skull and bones here indicates that I'm not currently connected to a network. And if I click on it, there is some functionality where I can manage my Wi-Fi. I'm not going to do that for now though. And here you'll see there's a slider where I can control my volume as well, but also have this linked up to keybinds as well if I'd like to do it in that way. And you'll see I have these drawers that kind of expand when I go over them. This one will shut down my computer, that one will reboot it, and you'll see the lock here can do things like lock my screen. If I go ahead and do that, you'll see that I'm presented with this nice lock screen. This is powered by something called Hyperlock, which is also part of the Hyperland ecosystem, but also fits very nicely into my experience here. And you can see at the very end here, just to finish it off, we have the time. So you can, by RICING your system, not just make things aesthetically pleasing, but also pleasing from a functionality perspective. And that's where you might pick certain tools like the fish shell here, which I'll go over in details all the features that it has, but it's a really, really great shell. For instance, just one of the things I'll show you quickly is that it has this multi-line editing. And if I press exit, you'll see it goes into Vim mode. And it has a lot of features that people love in Vim that could be used directly from your shell. And you'll see that that indicator changed to show that it's using Vim because I have another custom RICE for functionality with my shell where fish as a shell can interact and be understood by Starship, which is providing me this custom prompt here, which I've put in all of these custom glyphs that match what I want to see information-wise when working with my shell. So if I close off all of this, one other big component of my system is I do everything declaratively. The main reason for that is that I'm a DevOps engineer by trade. So if I can do everything declaratively, I will, just to keep myself in that mindset. One example of this is I'm currently using NixOS. NixOS is based on the Nix package manager, and you can basically declare your entire operating system by using Nix. My entire setup I've been showing you now with Hyperland, all of that is configured in this Hyperland file here, and as you can see, it's all declarative. My entire environment is done as code. This is like a different variation of dot files. They also go into a Git repo, but it's a different way of managing things and another way that you can RICE systems. But you're also welcome to use your own approach with it or just do everything manually. But I would recommend that because this is a lot of work, everything you do, try and do it in some form of dot files and save that to a Git repository. You don't want to lose all this work that you've done. You'll also see that when we're looking at the code there, we're actually in an editor called NeoVim, which is also styled to my color scheme. Also made to match Cat, Buccine, Mocha. And this is just one of many examples of the functionality that you can have. I could probably go for quite a while with all the different tools that I have installed and all of the different things that I've done. But the real thing that I want you to get out of this is if you're going to go down this journey of RICing a Linux desktop, some of the different variations of how you can do this can be a huge time sink. So you really want to only do this if you're interested in tinkering and learning about how the different components of Linux operate and provide you this experience. That being said, you also don't have to start as complicated as this. And in a future video, I'll also show you how to get your toe dipped in the water by using something like KDE that will have a point and click system that you can use to customize the system. And it's a lot more user friendly than this implementation that I've put myself through. One little tidbit here I can give you is at work, I work on a Mac. So I have this little Linux penguin on a Mac because when I'm working on a Mac at work, this is how I feel. Perfect. So that's a quick overview of how Linux RICing works and kind of why you would want to do it and what the real value is of doing Linux RICing and what you can get out of it at the end. If you found value out of that, you know which buttons to press. But until next time, you'll find my next video on the right hand side.